Hey guys, Nanomachines, and we're taking a look at the Transformers trading card game once more with a discussion video. And of course, today we have hand destruction. Is hand destruction any good in this card game? And the short answer is no. But the long answer is maybe. And I know, it answers a lot of questions, right? But for those of you who don't know, what exactly is hand destruction? Hand destruction is essentially discarding your opponent's entire hand and forcing them to not play with it the entire game. In Pokemon, you would have cards like Delinquent, which discards 3 cards from your opponent's hand. You would have in Dragon Ball, there's a thing called Cell Chain, where you just discard your opponent's hand down to 3, and then you get to discard them even more with other effects. In this card game, you have cards like Computer Sabotage, which, if you're looking at it, you say, oh my god, that's just Cell Chain in action, isn't that broken? And no, it isn't, and I'll explain why later. But you also have Rapid Ascent, which discards a card from your opponent's hand. Bug Bomb also technically discards a card from your opponent's hand. All of these are taken advantage of by, obviously, Shockwave. Now, my boy Shockwave here has the really, really cool idea and his really cool ability that he damages your opponent for each card that is scrapped from your opponent's hand, which includes things like Inspiring Leadership, where they discard 2, System Reboot, where they discard their entire hand, and of course, Computer Sabotage, where they discard down to 3, Rapid Ascent, you get the picture. Now, is that a viable strategy? In this game, not so much, and I'll explain why. In other card games, there's always setup time. In Magic, you have to play your lands, and then you get to play a card, then you gotta wait a turn to attack with it. In Pokemon, you have to evolve your characters, attach energy, and you get to attack. You know, that's kind of the resource system. Dragon Ball, same way. A lot of card games, almost all of them, that have to do with either evolving things, playing cards down like resources, anything like that. Whenever there is hand destruction, is powerful. This game is very unique in the fact that it barely has any setup time whatsoever. Sure, there are points where you have to upgrade your characters, like motorcycles love having force fields. And their multi-mission gears and all that stuff. Dinobots love having Dino Chomps in their hands. But they can always just attack you. They can't not attack you. And I think that's the most important reason as why in this game it's not a viable strategy to just discard your opponent's entire hand. It's not, and it can't be. Your opponent doesn't need cards in their hand in order to deal damage to you. Just as you don't need cards in your hand to deal damage to them. You're both just as quickly knocking each other out as the last game, and then the game before that. There is no setup time at all, period. So why do you need a hand? Well, it's to deal more damage, to take less, to do more effects, you know, all that stuff. But all of that is just, as the deck is called, extra. It's all just extra stuff to the characters. Even the characters have abilities, which most of them draw cards. Heck, Shockwave himself draws cards. So, that begs the question. If hand destruction isn't good, then is Computer Sabotage good? Now, normally you would say, Computer Sabotage, that looks great, but then you realize you're not discarding 8 cards with Computer Sabotage like you would normally be doing in, like, Dragon Ball or Pokemon. No, what you're doing is you're discarding 1 to 2 cards if because hand sizes are like 3 to 5 cards anyway. You're only discarding like 1 most of the time. Other times you can't play it at all because your opponent already has 3 cards in their hand. And it stays that way, unless you're facing, of course, Sunstorm. Sunstorm is the only deck that requires that setup time for your hand, because hand is that deck's entire resource system. It deals more damage for each card in your hand. When you discard your entire hand, you're doing 0 damage. So hand destruction is literally only good against one deck, and that deck is very niche. So, if hand destruction is bad, does that mean that Shockwave is bad? And the answer is kind of. Shockwave has a really interesting ability. It is by no means terrible, but his stats are kind of lackluster in a lot of areas. Sure, he has 3 defense in both modes. That is great. You can attach a multi-mission gear, which he's already a specialist. You're going to be doing that anyway. That means he gets 4 defense. That's fantastic. But in a pure hand destruction deck where your opponent has 0 cards in their hand, he is dreadful. You'll be getting almost no benefit from him outside of the first, couple turns. Now, that's not to say that a deck that revolves around System Reboot, where you discard your opponent's hand, potentially draw into another System Reboot and a multi-mission gear, you get to play it again. There's no reason why that can't be good. But playing Shockwave for that effect in a hand destruction deck is no-go. No bueno. Not even a little bit good. You can play him with the System Reboot and Security Checkpoint, but other than that, sucks. Just absolutely sucks. And it's not like your opponent's going to be discarding a lot of cards themselves. First off, they see Shockwave on the field, they're not going to touch that Inspiring Leadership in their hand. But if they do, they're only going to be doing 2 damage in total spread around their characters. That's awful. And that happens once, maybe twice in a game. And you're only going to be able to play, if your deck isn't built around System Reboot, you're not going to have it in your hand. During a game as well, you're going to find that he's going to be targeted down fairly quickly, because he is the only thing that really has a negative status condition for your opponent during their turn. He's just going to be public enemy number 1. And he doesn't have any, almost any attack in order to supplement his survival. He's not a threat otherwise. He's just going to be sitting there, doing nothing, and then just being the center of attention. He's just a very large, somewhat weak attention grabber, if you will. So, unless you're playing a deck that just can stream System Reboots over and over and over again, Shockwave is not that good, and thus neither is hand destruction. And I've made decks that can get my opponent's hand down to 0. 1 to 0, every turn. But the problem is, once they're there, they stop caring. And so do you. And you don't have the damage potential to back it up because Shockwave does none of it. He has fantastic draw, though, so that's kind of neat in case you end up running into that situation. Something I'd like to impart upon you in closing is this. Transformers is unlike almost any other card game on the market right now. It is very unique. It doesn't have a resource system, it doesn't require setup time in a lot of regards. Sure, there are certain decks like Cosmos or Nemesis that require a setup combo to happen. But generally speaking, there's no I need to wait 3 turns to attack happening. And that means that a lot of strategies that were viable in other card games are no longer viable in this one. I'm not saying forget everything you learned, and that suddenly this is going to change the entire world. No. But I think it's wise to question some preconceived notions that you have bringing in from other card games. And I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you guys very much for watching my video, and please, if you liked it, please check out my other videos on my channel. I do deck profiles and other videos like this one. And if you really liked it, hit that like button. It'll tell me I'm doing something right. And if you really liked it, please subscribe to me and hit that bell icon right now, because you will be notified when my videos go live. Thank you very much for watching, and this is Nanomachines, signing off.